layer of the onion, the trauma onion. All right. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you have not watched the series we are about to discuss, there will be tons of spoilers.
Tons.
So stop, go watch,
come back.
and enjoy it with us.
Also, remember that any of the opinions that we say about the shows, they're just ours, and it's fine if you like it or don't like it, agree or disagree. These are just our opinions, and we're all just here for fun.
And we love to hear your comments and what you think or what you disagree with. So let us know.
Comment, join our Discord, and we'll see you next time.
Also, don't forget to subscribe. Hi, and welcome to Hanging Out with Violet and Rose. I'm Violet.
I'm Rose.
And today we are discussing the Korean BL,
Secret Relationships. I want to tell you, it's a ride. Okay? I was not prepared. I had seen it highly recommended. It had come up several times on my Facebook feed and my TikTok, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out because I my heart started in Korean dramas. So I got this, and then it just happened. It was a whole roller coaster. I was not prepared. It was not. It was not a BL. It is, but it was not.
So for me, I think I had seen so many people saying oh, expect the unexpected. So I expected the unexpected. So I think some of the scenes that were supposed to be like OMG for me were kind of like OMG. But I can say there were a few scenes that did take me by surprise. So I do like that. I do like that it made you think.
You had
and
no
you had
idea.
to analyze.
Yes.
I love analyzing people and the way they act. So having to analyze the characters and being like, does he really mean that? Does he really feel that way?
And then how they shifted who was the bad guy. Like when you first start the show, it's not the person that you're expecting it to be. And then a third of the way through the show, it shifts to a different person. You're like, wait.
Literally, you saying that, I said my favorite part of this show, not on here, but I've said my favorite part was a certain part. And now thinking back, the shift is my favorite part.
Right? Because you really,
totally love the shift.
Was not prepared at all for the shift. So, I was hands down that Jamin is this good guy and he really likes Daeon. And I couldn't understand in the kitchen when Daeon's like, I like you. And he's all like, why do you got to ruin it like that? And
that I was just my favorite
I was part. Wait, you just break the boy's heart like that, man.
So, backstory, Daeon went to college, not wealthy, ends up hanging out, being friends with two very wealthy people, Jamin and
Soohyun.
Yes. And
they end up both falling in love with him.
But he likes
Soohyun.
Yeah. So
and they were so cute. One of my favorite features of this show was that at the end of every episode, you got a little flashback to college. So you had the whole 40 minutes of what's going on right now. But then you had these little flashbacks and they fleshed out the characters so well in those flashbacks. It would be 1 minute and it would just be like, oh my gosh, I understand more now.
Yeah. But I think they did a beautiful job with that because that was such a good way to keep people guessing and leave crumbs at the
Yes. And it was terrible because you got a new episode every Wednesday and every Thursday and you would get to the end and you'd be like, wait, I need more.
It came out twice a week?
Yeah.
Oh, I binge watched. I don't like that weekly thing.
I binge watched the first 4 episodes and then I watched 5 and 6 last week and then 7 and 8 this week. But so it was kind of both.
Yeah, but I love the way they broke it down to let you know the trauma that occurred on why. because Dayon played it so
So
well with the trembling hands and the not
well.
wanting to be around them,
Hmm.
and but he's so in love with Jamin, and then
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, but as you see everything that happened in the past, it all makes
It
sense.
all makes sense. By the end, you
Yeah,
know everything that happened and how we got here.
yeah,
And it's a beautiful storytelling of like just crazy psychos and their poor Mark. And I really I kind of felt bad for Dayon because you could tell he was so
yeah.
traumatized by all of them.
I mean, but not just them, his dad and like that
Yeah.
situation, like his whole life being poor, the dad
Hmm.
gambling all the money away, taking all of his money like as an adult, like,
Hmm.
and then
He's just used all the
yeah,
time.
like Jamin's character to know that for 7 years straight, everything he has done has set Dayon up to almost fail,
Hmm.
to like have a traumatic experience
Hmm.
so that then
He
he could
can
be this
lean
the
on.
hero.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
But then he didn't want Dayon's love whenever Dayon was giving
And
it to him.
I still don't understand that. That's probably one of my actual pet peeves with the show is
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's all like, I love you, I need you, you're the one. I've been hunting you
Mm,
since college. And so
hunting.
literally
No,
that's
literally.
true.
Literally.
So but it's what episode 3 or 4 that Dayon's like, hey, I like you. And he's like, just turns on me. He's like, why do you have to ruin it like that? And I was like, okay, so maybe he doesn't like him. Like, I'm like, maybe
Yeah,
not.
I thought the same thing. I was
And
like, oh, he's just trying to be a friend.
right,
And Dayon keeps crossing that line.
right.
But I was like, man, like the way he reacted, I was like, I get your friends crossing the line, but dang, dude, give the boy a breather. Like,
Right.
you just went straight for the kill. And I don't know. I mean, Jamin is he played that character well.
So well.
And honestly, like talking about like a favorite moment, not gonna lie, if I could have spelled it correctly on my paper, this is what I was gonna write down. But I had such a hard moment trying to write it down and like in a way that made sense. I skipped it. Him having that final moment with Soonhyun.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh, and the PlayStation?
in the police station,
Yes.
whenever he is like, "You'll never really know
Hmm.
why I made that contract with you,"
Hmm.
and then the hysterical
The
laughter,
hysterical laughter. It was he played a psycho
so
so
well,
well. The man was born to play a psycho
so well.
because it's crazy because at the beginning of the show he's so calm and you could tell that Dayon trusts him and the whole family trusts him. He's constantly giving the dad money. He's helping the sister with tutoring or whatever is going on. And then so you're all like, this is the good guy, and you like Soo-hyun is very
And he
intensive
was
and
so okay. So Soo Hyun is very controlling
yes,
in the open.
in the open,
Like, you
but
must call me. You must tell
yes,
me you breathe, tell me. You eat, tell
yes.
me. You go to bed, tell me. You're gonna walk to the right, tell me. You turn to the left, tell me. Like, very controlling in the open.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see with his relationship with his dad, like his dad
Mm-hmm.
controls everything. So you see, okay, he's taking out that
Mm-hmm.
issue on Dayon. But Damon, his psychoness on how he controls everything in the
Yes,
shadows.
yes. He was just pulling the strings here and
He was a
there.
puppet
He
master. He really
was.
was.
Like when he got the sister to get
Yeah.
hurt on purpose so
But the
that,
sister had said more than once, like, bro, something's weird. Why does he keep giving him
yeah,
money? Why? How does he know I have a part-time
she
job?
knew.
Like,
And we were all like, nothing's wrong with Jamin at that point. Like, we were all
no,
like,
bro. I knew something was wrong with Jamin in whenever he I called it ahead, but like I said, I
when?
had seen, okay,
Oh, okay, well, I know, but
whenever he had told Dayon before he spent the night, before he freaked out in the
mm-hmm.
kitchen, and he was like, "Oh, do you think I should be with Soohyun?" And Dayon like shook his head no, and he's like, "Okay, I won't be." I was like, "Why would you even bring that up? Unless you're trying to
Oh,
make it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
seem like."
I do remember that.
Yeah. So at that moment, I was like, okay, he's already lied to him and
Mm-hmm.
told Dayon, like, I'm not going to go meet up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he did meet up with him.
Right.
And whenever Dayon was drunk and he reached out to him, and then he put his hand back under the covers, and I was like, okay, you seem like you want to cross that line, but you're not. But I don't know. It was the way he did everything. I was like, okay, there's gonna be something with you.
See,
And so
for
I
me, it
kind
was
of
a
saw.
surprise.
No, I kind of saw it. Soohyun being not a good guy, because
No, nobody was a good guy. Well, not of those two.
but him actually loving Daeyeon and that whole relationship
Mhm.
was more of a surprise to me than Jamin being a psycho.
True. So the library scene broke
Oh my
me.
god, that was so
Was
cute.
it was the sweetest scene where he was like, "If I give you a ring, will you wear it?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I will." And they were like
But
cuddling, and it was adorable.
you see his aggressiveness even in that scene.
Yes,
So
yes.
that scene was before like everything broke down between the
Mhm,
three of them. And Soo Hyun went to abroad to live and
mhm.
finish school. But you see, whenever he lifts him up on the counter, he
Yeah.
doesn't do it in like a
No,
gentle,
it is
like,
like boom, and then he's like in his face, so he
yeah.
can't move.
So you can tell
Yeah.
right then in college he was
Mhm,
too aggressive. He
mhm.
was too controlling.
I loved that moment though.
Yeah, I
I
mean, it was a
mourned
good
the
moment.
relationship that never was, okay? Just a little bit
I
right
wanted
there.
to. I wanted to. I really wanted to. I wanted to almost feel bad for Soohyun, and I
Mhm.
almost wanted to mourn the relationship. But then I was like, but low key, you're still not a good guy.
No, he's definitely still not a good guy. But I
Like,
can see where he got to that point because, like you said, his dad was controlling, and then they sent him overseas because they were like, you can't be gay. And so they send him overseas to get him away from Dayon. And
yeah.
then that's the other thing that I didn't like about it was Janan, you had 7 years with this boy, right? All to yourself. Why didn't you
And
make a
did
move?
nothing but toy with
Nothing,
him.
nothing. And then you're mad when the Soohyun comes back, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I gotta up my game now, sir."
Gotta take the crazy out. The
Unpack
mild
that
crazy
box.
was not working. We gotta go into Super Saiyan crazy. Enters butter knife scene.
Butter knife. That was the most traumatic scene I have seen in any drama.
It really was.
I was completely unprepared. First, I thought he was going to like take advantage of Dayon on the couch in that scene. Then,
Same.
and I was like, is this really going
But
to happen?
him marking him, it
Yes.
still played into how
And it's still play. Yes.
controlling.
So
Yeah.
then when Dayon gets out from under him and he's like, I'm leaving. We're not going to do this anymore. I'm done with you. I'm moving on. And then he grabs the knife. And I was like, at first I was like, oh,
No. Not a knife, a butter
yeah, a
knife.
butter knife. Okay.
A butter knife.
And because they were supposed to be eating dinner.
Yes.
So I'm thinking he's going to go after Dayon and be.
That's what I thought too at first, but then I was like, it's a butter knife. What are we doing with a rounded?
Yeah, but Dayon, bless him. He is so traumatized by life. He probably would have peed his pants. So I mean,
he was Bambi.
He was, yes, he was the Bambi that. I mean, he needs therapy. Okay.
I need therapy. The butter knife.
The butter knife. So when he decides to go after himself with the butter knife, I think I kind of blacked out for a minute because I was so shocked.
Bro, whenever it showed it and it was just like open, I was like,
and the thing
can
is,
we show this?
with especially Korean dramas, I was surprised because Korean dramas, there's so many of them where even just a regular knife, it's like fuzzed out, or the gun is fuzzed out, or any wounds or a lot of blood, it's fuzzed out. So it depends on where you're watching it. But a lot of that stuff is fuzzed out in Korean dramas because they're not known for being graphic, even the ones that are dark.
It was graphic.
It was graphic.
And dark.
Dark. But I was here for it though,
And for
because
some reason it made me like Jamin more.
Really? I didn't. And then I don't understand. So okay, yeah. But I didn't like the butter knife. Well, it's not that I didn't like the butter knife. I did. But it was I didn't understand. So the ambulance takes Jamin away, I'm assuming, because like He
It didn't
just
show it.
it didn't show. Somehow he ends up at the
Maybe
hospital.
Dayon put him on his back and like.
That dude can't carry nobody. He barely carries his briefcase. But anyway, so you get Jamin to the hospital, right? And he's knocked out because of blood loss, I guess. Because I mean, butter knife. But anyway, there's a lot of trauma there.
So much trauma.
So he wakes up, and the nurse is like, "Oh, your buddy left. He had stuff to do." And okay, I have many pet peeves with this scene. Numero uno. The first question they would ask you in the hospital is like, "What happened?" Right? And so, what are you supposed like? What was it that Dayon said? Right? Because if he said,
He
"Oh,"
slipped and fell.
on what? Because like
The butter knife.
but any doctor with any training is gonna see like the trauma that happened there. So
and the blood splatter, like.
yes.
Yeah.
So then they just let the dude walk out of the hospital with a little bandage around his wrist like nothing ever happened. Pet peeve number 2 is Dayon just leaving, right? I get that he has stuff to do and he's supposed to meet up with Ju, but it was just odd to me that he just bounced after that whole fiasco. I don't know. It just, the whole thing felt weird.
It is odd, but he did keep saying, "I've never followed my heart.
That's true.
I'm gonna follow my heart." So I don't.
And then, of course, that's when his heart's like, never mind.
I don't think that in that moment he was thinking about what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the boy had been so traumatized throughout all the years with them two.
With those two.
I think to him it was just another layer of the onion, the trauma onion.
But then, like, what happened while Jamin was in Korea, but Soohyun was in America or wherever? He had 7 years to like.
I get that, but I think that's whenever Dayon basically switched because Dayon liked Soohyun.
Yeah.
Up until
that's true. So it was like a slow grow.
Yeah, so I think he then transitioned, and I think that's why Jamin freaked out is because he said, "I like you. I've always liked you from the beginning," and that's whenever I think he freaked out because he's like, "No, you didn't.
You used to like Soohyun.
No, you didn't, and I know you didn't because I made a whole contract with this other man. So you couldn't be with him.
I was standing in the library when he confessed to you.
Yeah. So I think it was like a slow burn that just didn't develop on screen and was supposed to be kind of like known in the background. Plus, it played into us not knowing that the other two had a relationship,
right? Because
it seems like Dayon was all for Jamin just from the beginning.
Yes, that's true. And then when they started throwing in that Soohyun and Jamin were together dating, I felt like it was off. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get those vibes. Like when they met back up, when Soohyun comes back to Korea, and I was just like, I don't get like X vibes or anything. So I was like, something's off here. I don't feel like.
Yeah, it definitely didn't have the vibe, but like, I think Soohyun's character overall was very like overpowering in a lot of scenes, and I think that was how they got away with people not being aware of their relationship in the past and not really them dating because he's so overpowering that it's like you're so focused on him you don't even really look at Jamin, and you don't have time to pick up the clues along the way until they put them in your face at the end.
And then you're like, ah.
So, but all of that to now go back and talk about Ju, who
biggest green flag ever.
Yes, except for he is green flag. I was waiting for something to occur with him.
Same. I felt like he had a darker side that we didn't see.
At the very end, like major spoiler, when it goes back not 7 years to college, but 12 years to high school. And Ju was the one that found Dayon passed out on the sidewalk. I was like, there's
the missing key.
And like, what occurred?
That's the thing.
Did he stalk him?
I'm curious
all these
too.
12 years?
Because like they end up at the same company. Is that just happenstance? Like there's so many questions at the end.
He runs into him.
Yeah.
He acts like he doesn't know him. Then they're at the same company. He treats them like he knows them very well.
Right.
But they don't.
But they don't.
And then he keeps giving them chance after chance after chance after chance. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, I like legit think he stalked him his whole life.
Green flag or not, the fact that he kept giving Dayon more chances and more chances. Like, I get being into somebody, but I felt like it was just odd how forgiving he was. Like, oh, you didn't make it to our like planned lunch. That's okay. We'll do another one. And it was just like, and then his smile.
Waiting for hours. Yeah, I hate you, but I really don't hate you.
The hours. Like, I'm sorry. I guess maybe I've reached the point in my life where if I have waited for you for a good 45 minutes, I'm good. I'm done. I'm out.
Right. 15 minutes? You don't love me.
You don't love me. Well, especially without contact. It'd be one thing if like they texted you and they're like,
did that so often where like he just didn't.
Like, you know, oh, I'm running late or I'm stuck in traffic, whatever. Okay, no problem. But if you're just ghosted and they're not answering their phone and blah, 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 I'm just like, why did you wait multiple hours? Like, he's got your number, he'll call you.
I don't know. I just like, he's green flag, but there's definitely
some darkness there somewhere.
There's some darkness. And I do like, why was he so hard up on putting himself in harm's way?
Yes.
Because like Soo-hyun proved time after time after time, like, I will take you out, guy. And every time he put himself in between and not even blink an eye. And I was like, you only do that if you're just as crazy as the person doing it.
Like the time he took the knife when he got stabbed.
Oh, yeah.
And you're sitting here and you're just like, you know, Soo-hyun's just standing there because he's in
not
shock.
Doing a thing. You don't love this boy for 7 years.
You don't love him at all.
Destroyed your relationship with your parents. Right? Came back from across the pond and everything. And you just stand there like, you're about to stab him.
And so there's
not the love of my life
who's like, get out of the way, and then takes the knife and then ends up like passing out. But I swear he smiled when he passed out. Like, that dude was smiling the whole time, and he had the goofiest smile on his face the whole time. But I don't know. I feel like there's more to Ju than meets the eye. There's a dark side. I think he definitely was probably low key stalking Dayon, and I kind of wish Korea doesn't really do special episodes. I wish that they would for this one, because I feel like there's
show
more.
you all the clips of him stalking him over the years.
Yes.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing. Hey, director, just some notes here for you.
Letting you know what the fans want, guys.
Because I just feel like at first I really didn't put Ju to have a past with Dayon. You know, I thought he was just like an eager puppy. He was just like, I like you and I want to be around you and whatever. And but then when that last scene, when we find out that he's known him longer than all of the other guys, and I'm just like, that changed the whole dynamic of the show right at the end. And then there's nothing else.
Yeah. I feel that way too. I feel like it gave us that clip and then gave us nothing.
Gave us nothing.
So it was kind of like, okay.
What do we do with that?
And then like totally off topic, but it just popped in my head. The team going on team dinners and the manager guy always buying them dinners. And
where'd they get all the money from?
I need the money.
Maybe he's lonely. Maybe he doesn't have anybody to go with.
He was just cool with like Ju and Dan just being all like close with each other at work. Like,
the only person who was mad about it was Soo-hyun.
And what was him in those corporate meetings?
Those were great. They're like not passive aggressive at all. They were like just aggressive.
In front of everybody. What's your relationship? Yes. Why are y'all talking to each other?
Why are you on the same team as him? They're like, because we got assigned to.
What are you doing at home?
How often do you see each other after work? But can we talk for a minute about the scene where Daeon is in Soo Hyun's office and he throws the baseball at the wall and breaks the vase right next to his head. I low key was like, oh my God, this is back when you thought that Soo Hyun was like the big bad guy. And I was like, dang, get out of there, dude. Like, why are you alone in the office with him? Like, go away.
He did tend to be alone with him quite often
I
to be
know.
that afraid of him.
Right. And I can see because he was the one who saved him from being, I guess, taken advantage of back when he was drunk
Yeah.
before he went abroad.
But that was also the moment that made him be afraid of him.
That's what I'm saying. Is that's what happened is that he was saved, but in such a violent way. Yeah. And how did that dude be like, oh, that's cool. I'll just eat some dinner with you guys anyway? Like, dude, you can't come back from that.
It was very up and down. I mean, and Ju did so much for Daeyeon. Mm-hmm. So I see why like Daeyeon falls in love with him and everything. But like I said, I need more on Ju and how is he stalking Daeyeon these 12 years? Because he did.
No, there's no way he didn't. Like you just randomly there's no way you can convince me they randomly ended up at the same company. He was hunting that boy down. Yeah. And I don't know how close in age they are because they never really covered ages, but I know that there's like some amount of year difference, I assume. So I would be interested to see like, did he go to the same college as Daeyeon and like saw him as like a senior like later and then like figured out where he was working and got a job there and like how did that come to be? Because there's more to the story. We will never know.
Yeah. I mean, overall, a great watch. With the episodes being less than 40 minutes, they does seem to go by quick.
So much happens in every episode, though. There's no moment where you're just like, okay, come on, let's go. It is literally action-packed.
All right, pet peeve. We're at the end. Here's my pet peeve. Okay. The scenes being clipped together, moving from one scene to the next. Because how are you in the preparing for your speech about the project to go to Dubai? Mm-hmm. You're in the basement, then you're in the cabin, then everything occurs. You almost die. Your boyfriend, soon to be the guy you love, gets stabbed. You go to the hospital with him or the ambulance with him. He tells you, hey, go do your speech. And then you go do the speech with blood on your face. And then you're back at the hospital. And I'm like, and it's all the same day. Like,
he had a busy day.
The timing, though, because whenever he left to the basement, they were getting ready. They were about to go on.
So, like, it was just like the forever conference.
The conference never ended. Apparently everybody sat there and waited hours
for our reconstruction.
So yeah, and Ju both went to like one went to the school and one went to the house.
Yes.
So they didn't even go to the cabin first.
No.
So and then you make it back in time, right, to do your speech, but yet
after the ambulance ride, after you've been kidnapped and drugged.
And Ju was supposed to, like, they had came to Ju and was like, hey, we're ready for your speech.
Right.
That was why Ju went to go look for him.
He's like, no, go back, do the speech.
It was a lot packed into the 35 minutes, but some of the scenes don't connect to the other scenes as well.
That's true. I didn't really think about the way that time passed in that last episode, but you're right.
It just stayed there, and then they just went through all the drama, and then it was right back where it was.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guess... Yeah, because they were just doing a bidding and there was maybe like 8 round tables in that room. So you're like maybe max 8 different companies are bidding for this war. Yeah. So if every company gets like 20 minutes, let's say, that's not that much time to, for him to go to the garage, get drugged, go to the cabin, nearly die, get saved, go to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, like, yeah, there's no way. And then we don't know how far the cabin was, but the cabin is out in the middle of nowhere because that lady who was the neighbor is all like, nobody's ever out here, blah, blah, blah. So we know it's out in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like it's like in Seoul. So it just, yeah, I can see that being a pet peeve. That's a really good point. My pet peeve, is definitely the lack of Jew story, because I do feel like there's so much more to explore there. Um, and I hate plot holes. I hate them
There
so
were
much.
more than one in this.
And this show was full of plot holes. I want to know how specifically Soo Hyun went to America. What did he do there? Why did he stay gone for 7 years? How come it took 7 years to come back? He's got grown up money. Come on back. You got a job. Come back. Why didn't you come visit or something? Why did Jamin never make a move? Why? Well, I don't know. And then, like, I don't know. I found Daeon a little annoying sometimes too, because I just wanted him to, like, I don't know, quit being a little puppy. I don't know.
Quit being Bambi.
Quit being Bambi.
I mean, but I think that was like his just him.
He,
I think it was the big like telling Soo Hyung like I'll never be for you,
mhm.
and giving him the ring back and being like I have to figure out who I am without you and Jamin. Like I think that was his big moment.
That was his big moment, and I did like that. I just hated if they hadn't had that final scene with Ju catching Daeon passed out on the sidewalk. I think I would have been
And
okay.
can we just say like there was always something wrong with the boy. Like he was sick. Well, I mean, I guess that goes with trauma, but he was like sick. He was having nosebleeds. He was getting cut whenever Soo-yeon just grabbed him by the face with not sharp nails. And
I was like, dang, how'd that happen?
I need a slow-mo. But yeah, like, and so you're just walking home and pass out, and then
like, why? Because I feel like, was it because he was being made fun of at school, or? And then I feel like some of the things that happened were so quickly glossed over, like when they put out the article at work that he had been hired because he used to be friends with the boss guy. And then everybody was like, oh my God, oh my God. And then, he's over there having a whole anxiety attack about it. And then all of a sudden, the next day, he comes back to work and they're like, hey, we missed you. Oh my God, where were you? And it's like, wait, I'm confused. I thought we were upset. So there was some disjointedness in it that just.
That is why I cannot give it a 10 out of 10. But it is a 9 out of 10 for me.
It is a really good show, especially if you're.
Yeah, I just like the thriller vibe to it. And I don't know, like I said, Jamin grew on me. Because at first I thought he was just going to be the cute friend that's like, oh, we should be friends. Don't cross the boundaries. And then it became a full-blown psycho. And
I appreciated the psycho because it's not something you see a lot, especially in K-dramas. And I feel like it was kind of a surprise, even though you knew something was off with Jamin. I wasn't expecting full blown psycho. I was not. I might have expected that out of Soo Hyun though, because
so that's what I was about to say. I think with the way they portrayed Soo Hyun, that making Jamin the full blown psycho, I did not expect as far as they went with him, because I was like, Soo Hyun's already like an overpowering character. He's already just so dramatic. Man just needed a hug.
He really did.
And so having it like two overpowering characters by the end of it I didn't see that part coming to the extent that it
But their moment in the jail when Jamin confronts Soo Hyun, that was the best, when he pulls him into the little room and he's like, you'll never know what I did for 7 years. You'll never know what I did. And I was just like, oh my God. And then that makes me, what did you do? I need to know.
But yeah, so it was a good show, worth the watch.
Definitely worth the watch.
If you haven't watched it and you just went through all this, sorry. For everything, but it's still good to watch.
It's so worth the watch. It's definitely worth the ride. There's so much that happened in the show we probably didn't even talk about because it's really heavy. I kind of almost want to rewatch it just because I feel like I missed
a whole lot. Yeah.
Because it unfolds so slowly.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to go back. But I also want like a special episode where Soo Hyun and Daeon are together from college on. Like I need that in my life.
I don't want that. I want to know why Jew stalked him and what did he do to
what
stalk
did
him?
he do? Like, what specifically?
That's what I want to know.
There's, I wonder if there's a book. I need to find out. I need to find out.
If you've seen the show and you agree, disagree, comments, concerns, let us know. Join our Discord.
Yes.
First step. Link in the bio. Also subscribe so you can keep getting these videos.
Comments on our videos. We're going to be pretty active people, so we will respond.
Please comment. I would love to discuss with whoever. And if you've seen the show and completely disagree with everything we say,
that's okay.
Let us know that too. But all right, so this has been Hanging Out with Violet and Rose and Ride or Die. See you next time.
Bye.